this ceremony today, what we're going to do is recognize the accomplishments of a number of people that were made during the 2014 year. There are several components of the awards program: speed, child safety seats, seat belts, driving under the influence charges, and seat belt airbag use during a vehicle crash. We selected these various components from two places. Number one was the Law Enforcement Challenge Program, sponsored by the Virginia Association of Chiefs of Police, which recognizes a number of those, and the Saved by the Belt program, which is sponsored in part by the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles, the Virginia Department of State Police, Virginia Sheriff's Association, Drive Smart Virginia, and the Virginia Association of Chiefs of Police. For 2014, there were 10 police officers in Danville who were the top performers for the department. We calculated their statistics based on the quarter, 3-month time frames, and also for the entire year. In an effort to minimize the number of people that would have to be called away from being off duty or on duty, what we decided to do was to just name the officers that were the quarterly winners for the year and recognize in person the officers that were the top performers for the entire year. And the officers that were the top performers in the categories of speed, child safety, speed enforcement, child safety seat enforcement, seatbelt enforcement, and driving under the influence enforcement were the following officers. Officer B.H. Sossaman, who has resigned from the Danville Police Department and is now a law enforcement officer in Georgia, and we'll be sending him his certificate. Officer D.T. Shively, Officer M.J. Gorley, Officer A.M. Kenya, Corporal R.B. McCormick, Officer E.G. Wilson, and Officer D.C. Lancaster. Officer S.R. Keats, Officer C.S. Simpkins, and Officer D.C. Ferguson. Those are the officers who were the quarterly top performers. But today what we're going to do is recognize the top performers for the year in the following categories. As I said before, speed enforcement, safety belt enforcement, child safety seat enforcement, and driving under the influence enforcement. So at this time, I'd like to ask Officer Derek Lancaster to come forward. Derek was the top performer for the year for the department in child safety seats with a total of 57 charges of drivers who had small children who were not properly fastened in a child safety seat or were not fastened at all or did not have a child safety seat. So congratulations, Derek. And Derek was also the top performer for last year for seatbelt violations with a total of 50 charges. So Derek, thank you very much and congratulations. And if you could just move to the side over there. The next officer we'd like to recognize is Officer Todd Shively. If he could come forward. Officer Shively was the top performer for the department for last year for driving under the influence charges with a total of 16. Congratulations. And the third officer is Officer Chris Simpkins. If he could come up, please. Officer Simpkins was the top performer for the department for speed enforcement with a total of 238 radar tickets, radar and LiDAR tickets. Congratulations very much. Okay, thank you. The Danville Police Department has adopted a program that mirrors the Safety Belt Use Awards program developed by the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles. In our efforts to promote safety belt use with the motoring public, we review and select various crash reports for the year and look at them to see if they meet the criteria of this awards program. Each nominee must have been involved in a motor vehicle crash where the proper use of the safety belt or airbag or a combination of those most likely limited or reduced the seriousness of their injuries or prohibited further injuries altogether. Additionally, the nominee must not have been at fault in the crash event, and they should live, work, commute, or reside in the Dan River region. We would like to recognize the following individuals for meeting those criteria for the annual Safety Belt Use Award. And what I'd like to do now is to read a description of the crash that these individuals were involved in, and then I will call them forward to receive the award. On June 8, 2014, a vehicle crash was investigated by the Danville Police Department involving a Danville Life-Saving Crew emergency response vehicle. The vehicle was running with lights and siren and was responding to a medical emergency call when it was struck by another vehicle that was exiting the ramp from Memorial Drive onto Central Boulevard. To further complicate matters, this was also a construction site with restricted travel lanes and modified traffic patterns. The life-saving crew truck had a driver and 3 occupants. The driver and front seat passenger were regular crew members, and the rear compartment occupants were members in training. The 2 rear compartment passengers had no idea of the situation that they were approaching until the crash occurred, and the hard braking and the evasive maneuvers were applied by the driver of the ambulance. Further investigation indicated that all of the vehicles of the life-saving crew ambulance were properly restrained in their respective seating areas. Even though all of the seats do not face forward, they are equipped with safety belts that were in use during this crash event. The added equipment and confined space of the ambulance make travel and working conditions hazardous enough already for the crew members involved, and failure to use the seat belts could have resulted in serious injury to them, and we're very, very happy that they were wearing them and that they did not receive any injuries. For making the right choice to buckle up and being safe in a vehicle crash, we would like to recognize Mike Brandon, if you could come forward. He was the driver of the ambulance. Marilyn Basden, she was the front seat passenger, which was on the impact side. Leanne Basden, she was in the rear compartment. And the one crew member who could not make it, Blake Jones, we will give his award to Captain Woodall and ask him to take that on back to them. But Mr. Brandon, Michael Brandon, thank you very much for wearing your seatbelt and for receiving our Making the Right Choice Award.
Thank you.
And Marilyn Baston, thank you for wearing your seatbelt and making the right choice. And Leanne, thank you very much for making the right choice. And I'd like also to give you a souvenir patch of the Danville Police Department. We have our patch on our shoulder patch. There's a lot of history to all of the design, and this little pamphlet describes what our patch is all about and what everything means on it. And it's our way of saying thank you to you for being safe and wearing the seatbelt. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Captain Woodall, if you could come forward. And I'll hand this to you, and it's Blake Allen Jones's certificate for making the right choice, if you could deliver that to him. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. That concludes our award ceremony. Thank you all for coming, and we thank you all for the officers for working hard to make Danville motorists safe. And we thank everyone that was in that ambulance for wearing your seatbelt and reducing injury or eliminating injury, at least in that crash, by doing that. Thank you very much.